Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Entrepreneur Hour. Technical difficulties. I was rendering something, working on a project. Um, Grind is real. Um, so today's episode, I have a special guest. He's on his way. But I just want to uh, update. There's been so much going on. Meta Bronx. We've been having some amazing conversations about around mentors and kids, working with our students. I've been having some amazing conversations with different types of investors, looking for me to educate the public on their investment power. So I had a great conversation with a finance guy, a brown finance guy. I'll just say he definitely wants to name. He wants to be not as public as I am, and he was basically breaking down to me the way all of this works, right? And you think you kind of know, and then you have a guy that is really doing it at a level you want to be doing it, explain it to you, right? And basically he said, us as people, we have to stop talking about our spending power and start talking about our investing power. Because he actually saw my show, and he reached out, and he was saying there's not enough of what you're doing, right? But at the same time, you're angling towards helping the people already in innovation, but they need funding. And if they can't get funding, their innovations get like wiped out. So you need to start educating people on your community, on our community, because he's like me, on their investing power, not spending power. So for instance, there's a new law that was passed by Obama where it allows people to invest in companies as they start. Hold on, sorry. As they start up. So like in the old way, you had to be what was called an accredited investor to be able to get investment. Well, now they changed that law, and there's something called equity crowdfunding, and that allows anyone to invest. So if 1 million people gave a company $1, that company can get to where they need to go. The big thing is, though, do you need how to educate people on the fact that when they give up that dollar, what do they expect? So I'm going to be creating a lot more content around that. Om is here, and Om, how you doing, man?
Good, good, great. Thank you for having us.
Uh,
Yeah, just picked up your message, so couldn't be more excited to be joining you and your ever-growing community at the Entrepreneur Hour
Thank you,
and
thank you,
Meta Bronx and Mass Ideation and all the great community you have.
thank you, Om. I appreciate it. Definitely, we're trying to catch up with you. You've been on the show before. If anybody, oh, is that me or you? Hold on, let me make sure. The audio, I had an audio problem the other day. All right, so yeah, your background noise. If you can mute until you talk, I think you're getting
Sure,
too
that
much.
would be great. Happy
Um,
to.
so Om, again, I'm even though he's been on the show before, you may not have saw it. Om's background is incredible. I'll let him say it, but I met Om through Meta Bronx. Meta Bronx was giving a contest, actually a global contest for the best startups to apply for our Village Capital partnership, and Om was one of the winners. And Om's company actually does. He has an app that allows people to save money, so, and actually allows people to help you save for things. So the way I'll explain it, I'll let him explain it more when he's back, is you are able to say, let's say, and this may be something I eventually do, right? I want to help invest in a company, right? I can say I want to invest $10,000 in this startup, and many people can donate the money or help me save up to invest in this company, right? But what he's doing it as right now is, if you want a bike, if your kid wants a bike, right? Here's a good example. Your kid wants a bike. It's a $400 bike, $300 bike, whatever it is. Ohm has created a system that allows you as a parent to save for it with that person, with that child. So if that child has chores, you give them money, and then you can also um, give to that savings. So like if you said, every $20 I give you, I'll give you another $20, and through his system, you can manage all that, and then family members and the public can also help that person save. So, tell the people about your background. Where how'd you get started? What's your origin story? I like to say. You're on mute.
Okay, great. That's one of the great joys of all things in our technological world. As we've discussed it before, it's kind of like the Goldilocks zone. We want to be in the perfect zone where it's not too hot and not too cold, to harness the best power that, just like fire, I think technology can provide. And so, I think it's the same with the Save Away platform. And I think it's a lot of my own life's learnings has been, I think growing up in the city of joy, almost halfway around the world, and much like the millions of entrepreneurs before me, having come to this home of the, home of the brave, essentially, at the time, to go to school back in the West Coast at Stanford. I was really taken by the joys of science. Physics in particular was one of the reasons why I was at Stanford. It happened to have one of the largest accelerators of a different kind for subatomic particles, and found the love for computers there, and how the world of bits, back in the late 90s, was, radically changing the world. So I think some of the lessons from there, moving forward to some of the financial institutions that I've had the opportunity to work at, some of the largest in the country and the world, left me with a lot of learnings around how a much more fundamentally better and fairer and more just model can be built so that people can reach their goals, even if they thought those goals were out of reach, and do so not by falling for impulse, not by falling for credit, which for far too many people becomes the slippery slope to debt. So at the Save Away platform, we've not just done things differently, but in a lot of ways the opposite of how things are done today, when you have a big goal and a big purchase that you're looking to make. And you pointed out something great, right? There are powerful use cases that we're seeing through this pandemic. People need to get around, and they need to work from home. They may not have the computing device to allow them to do that. So this has proven to be the perfect platform for people to be able to thoughtfully save up. We've created a merchant marketplace where leading retailers, including Best Buy, eBay, Etsy, among others, are joining. So folks have the ability to go there, select a few things that they think might be useful, engage their community, engage their friends and family, so that the decision that they're making to buy it is actually the right decision. is done thoughtfully rather than impulsively. And then be able to harness that same friends and family network to combine their allowance, own allowance they're setting aside periodically with the social gifting from those friends and family. Kind of that old saying, if you want money, ask for advice. So we've built that into the model where you engage your community first, and then you can, without creating any obligation, get gifting from people who rise to the occasion to support you, along with the best offers that are available from the seller. So that you end up saving more faster to be able to fulfill the purchase. And you're not saving just for a financial goal. You're saving for a goal that matters to you in the real world. That's why we call it the internet of savings. It's not the internet of money. It's not the internet of things. It's the platform that helps you connect the two together and helps you what money was always intended to do, which is help you reach your highest goals and your most audacious aspirations.
Okay, so I believe you were one of my first guests on the show, and I've been probably like 40 episodes in now, or more. That was pretty early in the pandemic, right? So as a person that is dealing with people saving money and purchasing things, what have you seen, in the last few months? And also, what do you think needs to happen for, people in the next few years? Because I'm hearing this economy is going to be bad for a few years, right? So what do you think people can do? How can they use your platform? And, what have you seen?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think we live in a quantum mechanical world, but I think it's one of those occasions where I think the Newton's laws of motion apply, right? Kind of, you think back to middle school or high school physics, a body in motion stays in motion.
I didn't take physics in middle school.
Well,
explain that to me.
Science, Well, you definitely have the Comedy Central potential, my friend. But I think at that right juncture, the body in motion stays in motion, and the body in rest. It takes a while for a body in rest to get back into motion. And I think that's a part of what we all have to go through now as we're thinking about people coming back live. Look, I think the macro view here is, a lot of prominent folks have looked at this and said how this was the Black Swan, including VCs. It turns out the gentleman that was the author of the Black Swan made the comment himself, Nassim Nicholas Taleb, that this is actually a white swan. This could have been entirely prevented or disallowed from the type of mayhem that it has caused. I think YouTube video that has spread like wildfire on YouTube, I suppose, is Bill Gates's predictions about pandemics, which I think he recorded with Ted, etc. many years ago. So the key point here is, I think you really need to take thoughtfully the things that can really wreak havoc. And I think in our case, the parallel would be financial wellness. We know that this, arguably the most prosperous country in the planet, we still have, you don't need me to tell you that there are so many people that are living paycheck to paycheck, right? And a part of that is getting those people to a level of earnings potential where that's no longer the case. But a part of that is also about being thoughtful about, how you have the right financial habits to be able to fulfill those bigger goals and those bigger purchases that you have. arguably the best investor of our times, Warren Buffett, quote attributed to him is saving is not what you do after spending. And yet, in far too many instances, we are conditioned, and none of the tools I think out there help in this regard. They
Mhm.
tell you, hey, spend, boatloads of what you can spend on. And by the way, every time we spend, we'll sprinkle you something back. To me, that's the wrong incentive applied at the wrong time, because it puts your spending muscle on greater steroids. Whereas what you really need is to resuscitate the saving muscle. So
So
I think,
that makes me think of something I was talking about before you got on, and it was one of the major reasons that we picked your company in the cohort, which is I was talking to an investor yesterday, and he told me what black and brown people need to do to change this situation is start to control not their spending power, their investing power. What he
mhm,
was saying is we need to start understanding that instead of spending stuff on entertainment or fashion, if we invested that same money, we could be really changing the situation, right? So with you, with your startup, as soon as we saw it, we were like, oh, this could be a way to, like you said, start training people on the saving muscle because that's not trained in our communities. And it's like you said about Warren Buffett. We're taught to save after you spend, not spend after you save. So I just wanted to make sure I said that before I forgot it. But go ahead.
no, I think that's good, and I think that's the type of thoughtfulness. I think what I think is a testament to all of the hard work and the grit and the grace that has gone into our growing team. So I really applaud the team, our supporters, our partners. I think they have really stood behind bringing that vision to life, and God only knows it's still, it's always work in progress. But yeah, that is the goal, Miguel, is helping you save up for those bigger purchases, doing so thoughtfully. You can call it social savings, you can call it social commerce. I think the hashtag matters less. I think what matters more is that you're finding that Goldilocks zone of you using technology, financial technology, e-commerce for its best purpose, to reach goals that excite you in the morning. For far too many apps, they're talking about financial goals. When was the last time you got excited to wake up in the morning and say, hey, today I hit my goal of $5,000? Sure, it's a good landmark. It's not, doesn't create the fundamental level of joy and serenity in your life as, hey, today's the day that I'm graduating. Today's the day that, I'm getting, married. Today's the day that I'm having the anniversary. Those are moments in life, and you ought to plan to create and make the most of those special moments in life with the people around you, right? So this is where the financial cap, not just the financial capital, but the social capital becomes very important, right? You're creating a shared experience with the people around you. And because you're doing it by saving up, you're creating a journey, right? The journey is mattering as much as the destination, right? I think we know
Sure,
all too well,
sure, for sure.
you know,
I think
no,
no, that makes a lot of sense about like a lot of times we look at that destination and say that is like the the joy, right? Like once you get there, it's like so one investor I spoke to last week, he gave me an analogy of people that have a certain amount of money are just poor people making poor look easy because they're still spending in the same percentages as poor people. It's just with a lot more money, right? So he was basically breaking down to me the way like someone would say, okay, let's say your startup exits and you make $5 million, you're rich. He's like that's not going to last you the rest of your life. Even if you spend, 30,000 a year, you're not going to live forever with $5 million. So you have to think differently about how money comes in and how it's spent, and think in those percentages, right? So when you think about saving for items, that's normally what people use credit cards for, right? And that is one of the worst things because the APRs are so high and stuff like that. That's where what you've done is kind of a way to battle that, right? Make you save without the credit, right?
That's correct. Yeah,
So this,
that's precisely right. If there's one thing that's common with a lot of these very successful folks. We talked about Warren Buffett, but I think everyone, yourself, Mark Cuban, so many other people, I think, are on the record saying that using credit cards, I think, especially given the very high levels of interest that you may often find yourself in, where you have run the clear risk of credit turning into debt, I think is not worthwhile. The only time that, I think the best use case for credit is when you put that credit into creating an asset where the time value of money is such that because of access to that credit, you are able to create a multiple in terms of asset value.
so you mean
that is not the case.
Just in case? So you mean if you're spending something and the interest is 10%, you're investing in something that's going to make you more than that 10%, right? So
That's
you make
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. But if that kind of return is not possible and or is highly risky, then the opportunity cost of waiting, saving up is more often than not the right thing to do. And that is for those of us that have made it our life's mission to create awareness around this. I think that is something that is lost in translation. I think a part of that is not necessarily the fault in people. It is the fault in how structural incentives work, including structural incentives for incumbent financial institutions. They often make more money by peddling you credit. You just look at the P&L. They will make more money by peddling you credit rather than helping you save. Now, it's a function of the interest rate environment, so it's vary based on the economic climate and the interest rate climate at any given time. But because of that, you see a lot of credit and debt-inducing products being, thrust upon people, even though it's not in their best interests. So, people talk about, user experience, etc. I think all of that is great, but at a fundamental level, if your business is not based on not just great design, but principled design with the best outcome for your end user in mind, then it's does no good to have, even the most brilliant design. Most brilliant design, by definition, ought to be empowering and unleashing the potential of your user. So one of the things that I think I'm the proudest of what our team has accomplished is that principled design to be a relentless advocate for the user's best interests in mind at all time, to be able to help them reach those goals.
And that's not as normal as it should be in technology companies, right? Like
Mhm.
It really is not, and that's another reason we really like your product at Meta Bronx. I know you also you're in the process of something with your startup. Why don't you talk about where you are right now? Of course, everybody go to inspirave.com, sign up for, and just pick something to save for, and just see how this environment can help you think differently about purchasing something instead of doing it through credit. So that's definitely do that. But talk to the people about where you are with your startup, and then of course catch up with me like if we're at Meta Bronx, about where you are.
Sure, absolutely. So, yeah, I think we are, at a very, very exciting juncture in our Save Away platform. So you can also come to us through saveaway.net. So after a lot of hard work, the product is coming live by invitation to early access users. If you'd like to get early access, please go to inspirave.com/early access and enter in your information. If you share socially, we will get you priority access. And, we will, go through that list and get people access as we are doing now. So I think you were tweeting earlier this week about how we've made it available to the first batch of users within our waiting list. So we expect to continue to move on that. We have with that some exciting development around how we've made the platform very compatible to kind of a multi-screen environment. So whether you're using it on a desktop, tablet, or even your mobile device, without having to download anything, you can have access to the web. So that's great. We have integrated with the multiple partner merchants, as I mentioned, Best Buy, eBay, Etsy. And, we have actually started a process where our users tell us, hey, this brand would be great to have. So if you're a brand listening out there, and you don't want to miss out on the opportunity of being on the platform, you're welcome to contact us. And we will work with you to ensure that as a brand, your merchandise, select number of them, get listed on our platform as well. So
You got stuck? I think you got stuck. So if you to understand what you got stuck. So can you hear me now?
yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So yeah, there's definitely some brands I may be able to connect your way. Because through doing this show, I'm meeting a lot more people. But okay, so you sign up, you start to save. Where is Inspirave in need? Like what are the things you need? Of course, you need signups. What else? What else could Inspirave use more? I mean, Save Away and Inspirave use more of right now.
Well, I think, at a certain level, we are just looking for, kindred spirits like you, but people, that are on the search, right? And by that, I mean, they know what's right for them, or maybe they don't. People around them can direct them to our platform. And help them use us, right? I mean, even though it is a web app, I think it's nothing if it's not a movement. And so I think this is, the way we are bringing about change is very much about a people's movement, bringing power back to the people. No better time to do it than now. Here as we sit on Juneteenth. And so I think there is opportunity, I think, for, you and everyone else that's watching to, get in touch, use the, get online to use the platform. And, feel free to contact us. Feel free to contact Miguel, and hopefully Miguel can direct them to us as needed. And, we'll make sure that you get access. And so those are our highest priorities at this point.
And so I've been having conversations around crowdfunding. If you don't know what crowdfunding is, really quickly, I was explaining it in the beginning. It's this new law that allows anyone to become an investor. So Obama put this rule into play called the Jobs Act, which allows non-accredited investors to invest in startups. So before, you had to be worth $1 million without your home to invest in startups. Now anyone can, up to 100 and something thousand a year, invest in ideas. So I've been trying for a while to figure out how to partner with different crowdfunding platforms for the Metabronx startups. So I have a few in place right now that I'm really trying to work out how it'll work. What are you doing right now to draw in traffic? Because I know you already have been doing, you do really well on Twitter and social media. Are you spending on advertising yet? What is your customer acquisition plan right now? Because you're in this startup, the beta portion where you're trying to draw people in. What is your current way of doing that?
Well, I think I think of it as a fundamental mission of creating awareness and driving adoption. I think the notion of marketing to people is becoming increasingly irrelevant. I think you have to co-create new things and new experiences with people. So one of the things that we are hoping to do here is, at a very simple level, create awareness around the platform, help people try it out, make sure that it fundamentally and objectively, remove some obstacles that you may be facing in life in terms of the goals that you want to get to but can't. And because we, genuinely are in the business of, bringing more joy to your life as a user and as a partner, getting you, customers and sales you otherwise wouldn't have. But also have those users do it in the right way. So I think it's socially impactful all around. It's socially impactful for the user. It's socially impactful for the partnering brands. And it's socially impactful for investors that are investing in the platform. Because we've created a powerful economic model that works for the people, that works for brands, and in the process unlocks a lot of economic value for each one of them, including prospective investors, who want to consider joining the noteworthy investors that we already are very fortunate to have in the platform.
And are you interested? Are you interested in crowdfunding? Is that something you would look at? Because I think in a platform like yours, because it needs so many customers, if we could start to look at how to educate those customers that they can own the thing they use by buying stock in it as early as humanly possible, that's another way of us changing this situation, right? It's a form of investing. Technology startups are more risky than real estate, but they're easier to get into than real estate, right? So one of the things I'm looking at is, like I said, I'm looking at a way to have every Metabronx startup at least have the option, right? And then other startups they could come to me and I'll figure it out with them too. But Metabronx specifically, especially ones like yours, you have the education component. Another big thing that it makes me think of, I listen to many books at the same time, kind of over the month. I'm listening to this book right now called how to get 1 million followers in 30 days. And one of the things he says is you have to create content that people want to share, right? So what that makes me think about with yours is imagine creating a tweet or a Facebook post from your platform that says, I just saved $25. I just saved $2,500 on Saveaway,
Mm-hmm.
or my $10,000 honeymoon, whatever, computer, whatever. That is shareable content that they're deciding to share that's basically benefiting you, right? So what the guy's talking about in that book is when you create content that makes people want to share it, it's getting free impressions, right? So if you think about it, everything you have to try to do as a person that's creating content or trying to create awareness has to be shareable, right? So for me, when I think about your platform, I don't think there's enough positive sharing about saving as there is about spending. You see people promoting, oh, I just bought this car, I just bought these sneakers, I just bought this house.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really see that for, oh, I got up to $10,000 in savings, or I got, I
Sure.
haven't ever seen that.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think that is the fundamental information asymmetry that I'm talking about in terms of what is being celebrated in our culture, what the dominant images that are being set up in our social and cultural fabric, right? That causes people to behave. I think the financial crisis may have created this impression of the Joneses, right? That we're all trying to live up to. And,
Yeah.
it was a painful
Not
reminder of how
everybody's back.
that's the wrong model.
Yeah, everybody's back down. When I think
Right.
about the platform, what I think is how do we make saving cool? How do
Mm-hmm.
we make saving cool? Because it's not cool right now. Spending is cool. Balling,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're watching this in the Bronx, right? Ball till you fall is a term that rappers use, which means spend all your money until you die. You can't take it with you when you die. That's kind of the mentality that they're teaching these young people to think like,
Mm-hmm.
how can we make
Yeah.
saving cool?
Yeah. So look, I think there is. You have to think about people in their context, right? I think especially if you're a young person, and I would say our platform has wide applicability. We've seen people of all demos use our platform, but I would say for the under, and ill-served, right? A lot of young people, as you mentioned, people that are today the statistic of people coming out of our schooling system is that the vast majority of them, I think the mean or median debt of a college graduate is north of $20,000. And so to take on spending on a credit card or any other debt inducing vehicle is absolutely, no matter how many ads are being thrown at you, right? So I think the challenge that you and we and all of us have is to create the awareness campaign around what it truly ought to be, what is truly cool in order for you to achieve the life and the experience you with your loved ones can create for yourselves. It is through not by frivolously spending, neither is it by not spending at all, right? The purpose of money is ultimately to help you reach higher order objectives, give you that peace of mind. And so that's really what you have to do, is think about those objectives that are most important to you, right? What are those purchases, in a case, that are most important to you, that will help you achieve those bigger things?
So I like that. I like that. There's a few things that makes me think about. It makes me think about just overall financial education, which they don't teach in the schools at all, right? So one thing I've been learning a lot about is how the rich people spend their money, right? So there's percentages of what goes to what. how much they save, how much they invest, and then in that investment, what do they invest in, right? So some people invest in stocks. Well, rich people invest in everything: stocks, real estate. They'll do technology startups because that has the biggest boom if it works. But they there's a whole breakdown of how rich people spend their money, and I don't think we fully understand that. I'm starting to understand it. I'm trying to make notes of it to explain it to people. But maybe that's a way of you start to draw people in by educating them on the right way. So let's say for every dollar you get, you should be saving 15% for tax, 20% for savings. I don't know. 30% for your overhead, your rent, your whatever, right? And then miscellaneous, right? So if you said this is how you should think about every dollar that comes into your bank, then you understand, okay, this much you can save, and this is what you can use. You can save to buy assets, though. That's another thing, to show people how to invest in assets instead of liabilities, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And I think I would say for a lot of young people, the assets are all about, in a lot of ways, investing in yourself. If you want to, go to school, you want to take a training program, you want to get around and be, physically and mentally fit, invest in the right kind of exercise regimen, invest in the right kind of diet regimen. All of those things are things that you should also think about, when you think about allocating your income into various buckets. You should think about what are not just the near-term goals. Hey, I need to catch that flick, or I need to catch this, the other thing this week. What are the longer term goals that will bring you happiness and prosperity? It's that vacation with, with your family. It's the time spent with your loved ones celebrating an anniversary. Make sure you make time to plan and include in how you're going to set aside your funds a plan to achieve that big goal, that big dream. And that's where our platform can come in handy, right? If you're planning for that graduation, you're planning to get that device that you can't afford and is important.
So in the graduation example, when the last time I saw the product, you had to choose the object that you were saving for. Is that now different, where you could save for just like a something, but not an actual object?
Sure, absolutely. Why don't I do this? I can share my screen if you like, if the technology cooperates.
It allows you to do that. I've never done that from the other person's side. I always have to share.
Okay. Very, very good. So let me see if this will work. Are you able to see the screen good?
No. I guess I need to be the one to share the screen.
Sure. No, let me see if is this better?
Oh, yeah, I see it now. Yep, that works. Nice. Did not know we could do that.
So now you can go in and search either by name, or you can search by category, right? So we even have a category specific to the pandemic, among others. So you can go in
the pandemic, because that's one thing I would like to get for anybody watching right now. What are some things you think saving for makes sense right now?
Well, I would say, clearly, for example, things that are online, things that will help you go online, like having a great computing device, having something that, gives you a good webcam, etc., having the right set of appliances, ensuring that even if indoors, you have the right sort of fitness gear. I think all of those are things that I think people care about.
Another category you may look at, which I've been looking at, is things that will make you save money. instead of
Mhm.
like spending out, you could have in your home that will save money, because that's a way of saving too, right? Like for instance, if you don't have to go out and whatever, even going out to eat, right? That could save you a
Mhm.
lot of money right there.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think within home goods, for example, we have things that are within the home that help you ensure that you can have meaningful set of experiences in home without having to go out all of the time. So, for example, the for if we choose the appliances category, that will bring forth some of the things that may be essentials and important to you in that category. So, in the interest of time, what we've created here is the ability to see all of the product related details directly from the seller on our site, so you don't have to hop around. You can compare it. And the nice thing about comparing it on our platform is that you can actually compare them side by side, and you can invite friends to tell you whether you like them or not. So I can, invite, whoever I choose to the platform, send them a message, and they will get notified, and they can then go in and vote for the item, whether it makes sense to buy it or not. So here, I received a message to and I can go in. Whoever I send it to can go in and vote on whether
Ah,
I should or shouldn't buy it.
that's pretty
Right?
cool. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that because that involves a community around impulse buying decisions, where that's where we end up getting, really caught up. Uh, that's really good.
Yeah, so I think that's precisely what we are enabling, and as you can see, these votes get tallied up, and that way you can make a more thoughtful plan. In my case, I already had a plan in motion that I had set along a deadline for through the app. I make an initial deposit. So the platform allows you to enter in your payment information on the platform. And that then allows you to put in an initial deposit. It automatically sets up recurring deposits. And lo and behold, you're well on your way to fulfilling that goal in multiple ways.
So,
So this,
explain how the actual saving works then. So okay, I get paid every week. Well, right now some people are not getting paid like that, but how do you set up the actual putting money in to save for it?
sure. So in when you're planning, you can actually make an initial deposit, which goes into a savings wallet that we have created for you. Right? So it actually goes into a savings wallet that we have created for you.
And
And
this
periodically,
is
every week,
patented, right? That's patented, that part.
yes, this, we're very excited to share that the core technology here is backed with the first in our series of patents is actually issued, and it has international scope. It has international scope. We have our patents published across the Atlantic as well, for example.
Okay. Yeah. So and then okay. So now I put in an initial. Let's say I'm saving for something that's $500. I put an initial $50 in. Now
That's
what
right.
happens to that rest of that 450? How does that work?
So yeah, so if you set aside $50 every week, or you set aside $100 every month, whatever the correct amount is for you to reach the goal within your desired timeline, then that money, of course, adds up over
But
time.
does it automatically come out, or do I have to come in every month and put in the money? How does that work?
It automatically set up for you. It's automatically set up for you, Miguel.
Got it.
So every month and every week, it automatically withdraws that out from you for you to make that happen.
So as an entrepreneur, right, I'm immediately thinking, okay, so how does this company make money? How do you make money on giving everybody this option?
Sure, that's great. So the great thing is currently, unlike a lot of other platforms, which in fact charge you a fee for saving, which almost defeats the purpose, we've kept the platform free for end users. So we have a partnership affiliate model with our partnering brands.
So if you don't understand
And
what that means, let me explain what affiliate model means. Affiliate means companies advertise all the time to get you to buy things. So instead of advertising, they'll give money to a company like SaveAway for bringing them the traffic. So they say, look, for everybody you bring me, I'll give you a certain amount of money because that saves me in advertising because you are doing my advertising. So I'm giving you part of my advertising budget in a way. So what Ohm has done is create the relationship that says your advertising budget is going to pay for this service for the people that I know need it, right?
mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's exactly right. And but more than just traffic, we're actually bringing our partnering brands a sale and a customer they wouldn't have otherwise. So this meaningfully shows up in their top line growth, most certainly. So partnering with Inspirave is sort of like getting a whole new channel of sales and users you wouldn't have or be able to profitably serve otherwise. So
What
that's what makes it a powerful model, both for our users as well as our partners.
what I really like about the idea is a lot of times saving is difficult because of bills, right? But what you're doing is you're saying put that money somewhere else where you can't touch it so you can save for this thing. So there's a book that I listened to again called Profit First, where it talks about for businesses to create different bank accounts to put money in those bank accounts and not be able to easily get to them because back in the day that's how people saved money. They had like things, they had like bags for different things, right, where they save for groceries in this bag, right? So what he's done actually is say this account, you don't got to create a bank account and put the money in there and pay a fee. They're holding the money there for you so you can put it there, know it's safe, and it's going towards that purchase. So we got about 8 minutes left. On what else do you want to talk about or show in the last few minutes? Can you hear me? Oh.
Sure. Well, I mean, I would say that, look, I mean, if we think about what makes this moment, this day, so unique, is I think we are at an interesting point where every single person in this country and arguably across the world have the opportunity to have life brought to them to the extent they're fortunate enough to have a smart phone, right? And I would say, I think what's different about this moment is if you use the power in that phone, and our Save Away app is just a web app that you don't even have to download. If you can thoughtfully utilize it, right? I think and utilize it in a social way with the people around you, then I think you ensure your own financial wellness that leads to prosperity for you and the other people around you. And I would say the message to brands is also likewise. Look, in order for people to be able to buy from you, they need to be thoughtful, they need to be inspired, they need to, they will remember what they bought from you if they share that experience with a lot of other people. And
Yeah, it's like
we enable.
right? It's kind of like an accomplishment. And that's where I believe you need to figure out a way of that final thing, giving them something they can promote and share that says, I accomplished this. Kind of like with a house. A house is this middle ground of you had to save to get it, and now it's a purchase that is more money.
Mhm.
It costs you more money, but it's an accomplishment. People feel very accomplished when they save enough to
That's
buy a house, right? And they
yeah.
promote it. So you could create some type of way of saving, showing that promotion of the savings, or as it's building up, because that can also, what it can also do is say, oh, you're pretty close. You know what? I'll give you $10 more. And that can create that environment where people are willing to help out because you've gotten so close. That can become another avenue to get more people to help.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Absolutely. So, yeah. So, I would say, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by embracing and seizing the day. Make it yours. The morning shows the day. We are still in the final minutes of this morning. So
Yeah.
do it now.
Yeah.
Go to saveaway.net, get early access. Even tell us that you heard about us from this show, and because we love
Telling me.
Miguel, Meta Bronx, and everything that you're doing so much.
Put you on
We'll
the
make
top of the
sure.
list.
That's correct. That's correct. Deservedly so. So we'll commit to doing nothing short of your very best. I'm very proud of the team that has tirelessly worked. It always takes a village. So I very much thank all our supporters that have seen what we stand for, which is a unstoppable force of good for you. Our beloved viewer, our beloved users, our beloved partners. And together, great things are possible. Never let anyone let you believe that you can't achieve a goal. I think if you put your mind to it, if you back that up with a solid action plan, I think tools like ours can help. The goal that others try to convince you was never out of reach. Kid you not, you will find if you take those steps, will be looking at you and you will be smiling with it and with the people around you. It'll be right within your grasp, right within your hands. So seize the day.
Thank you. Good stuff, Om. Again, we'll talk offline on the Meta Bronx side. Actually, stay on after. So thank you everybody for coming by again on the Entrepreneur Hour. I truly appreciate it. Om appreciates it. He'll appreciate it even more if you sign up for his demo and save for something. And I think this is a crazy time, and we're going to have to start exercising our saving muscles in the next few years. So I think it's the perfect time to get involved with something like what Om is building. And then, Om will be back many times. He's part of the Meta Bronx community, so you'll see as his company grows, and you will have an opportunity possibly to invest in it one day. So thank you, and thank you, Om, for coming by, and stay on. Like I said, thanks everybody. Check back